Hello, welcome back to another Sea Smith video and welcome back to beautiful Southbourne Beach. It is Saturday the 15th of March, that is the day after the 14th and the day before the 16th in case you didn't know, but it's also the day after my sandbank session last night, which would probably have been my last video if I've got this all right and in order. Now, as enjoyable as last night was, didn't hit the target species. We had a nice couple of bass, but no rays, no flatfish. So, as you can see, with the beautiful sunshine, relatively calm seas. It's kind of a stiff offshore wind, but it is all offshore, so it's blowing off our backs and it's flattened the sea out. And the water clarity is quite good as well. So I'm hopeful we can find a plaice. Find a flatfish, sole, plaice, flounder, whatever that's going to be. I'd be happy to find one. What that means then, in terms of tactics, I'm going to be having actually today is going to be super simple, I should say. I'm fishing flappers only, 2-hook flappers at short range. I'm only going to be fishing probably 50 yards out, if that. I want to keep it nice and simple today. I do have some clip down rigs, some distance rigs if we find nothing at a short range in short distance. I'm hoping we can find the fish quite close in. There is a bit of a nice swell actually coming in, so although it's not really stirred up the water, it's not pretty flat, pretty calm. The waves are breaking in, it's kept making a bit of a swell within that 50-60 yard range actually, so I'm hopeful that's going to help things. In terms of rigs, this is my 2-hook flapper, one of them that I'm fishing, which I've simply got a size 2 Aberdeen hook and some beads. I've got red and black on one snood, and if I can clip this one from my trouser leg, yellow and black on the other. I know lots of people prefer different colour beads, different patterns and orientations. I've fished all sorts of different colours. Personally, I haven't found one that really outfishes any other. So yeah, fish what you want, I guess. One tip I've always followed though is to put some black beads. Every couple bead make a black one. Apparently this is to represent eyes of a fish and it makes it look a little bit more kind of lifelike in terms of what a plaice or flatfish might be looking for. But yeah, I don't think you need to worry too much. They just like to see the visual stuff and they'll go for it. So that is one. That is going to be baited up with ragworm and a probably little slither of squid on the end. And our second rig of the day, which will be going on my other rod, is another 2-hook flapper. This is actually going to be a 1 up, 1 down. Which basically, for those that don't know, means the top snood, the top hook is fished at the top of the rig. And the bottom one, if I can find the bottom, and the bottom snood, as you might be able to see there, it comes off the main rig body right at the bottom and it will fish below the lead, below the weight. That is going to be mixed or fished with a mix of squid and sand eel, and I've also got some sprats with me as well. So we'll mix it up and see what we can find the fish on. For that, I'm using a simple 2.0 Aberdeen style hook on these. So there we go. That's the setup, that's the approach. Nice and simple today. Absolutely beautiful to be basking. I'm quite warm actually, I'm quite hot today. I've literally just got my, I can't remember the last time I fished in just a hoodie and trousers, no jacket, no salopettes. I have got them with me just in case because it probably will drop temperature wise tonight. But yeah, I'm sweating. It is beautiful out here, absolutely stunning. Let's get to it. Oh, so I had to escape out of the sun a little bit. I've got the cover of my Bigaloo in front of me now to try and get some shade because it is absolutely beaming through. So actually what I've done with those 2 rigs is I've sent them both out with worm baits on. The ray rig I'm going to save for later because it's bright sunshine, completely clear water at the moment. I feel like I should make the most of that and capitalise on potentially any flatfish that are feeding in these ideal conditions. So whilst we're fishing our worm baits and waiting for something to turn up, I'm making the most of my time, just in case it does kick off this evening and we've got a flurry of good fish coming in, especially the rays. So I've got loads of squid, I've got a bag of sprats and sand eel, and I'm just making loads of squid and sand eel wraps, about 10 of them or so. So they're all ready to go, all ready to rebait later on if the fishing does pick up. Which, yes, it's quite optimistic, I know, but better to be ready for it than I guess they're not. And all I'm doing is I've topped and tailed a sand eel. I've done a million times before. Strip a squid, get him a bait elastic, which to be honest is off the boat. It's a little bit too heavy for the shore, but it'll do. And whipping it on nice and gently. Now I'm not putting too much on at this point because obviously once I put the hook in and stick it on a rig, we'll go over it again. But there we go. That's a little bit gunk off. There is a nice little squid and sand eel bait. I'm getting them ready for tonight. All right, let's go check our first cast on the worm bait, shall we? All right, well these have been out for about 45 minutes or so, 45 minutes. Now there's a gentleman just setting up to the right of me. You can imagine there'll be quite a few anglers down here tonight. Absolutely lovely conditions for it. Well, I don't feel any weight on this one yet. Well, that flood tide is just about to start now, so I've brought in one of my rods, the rod that I am planning to fish for rays tonight. This is the 2.0. So these are the 2.0 hooks on the one up, one down flapper. All I need to do now is all these pre-wrapped squid and sand eel wraps that I've made. Just in the squid section, just nick that hook very lightly, so it gives it something to, I guess, sit into, bite into, however you want to say it. Hold that on there, get a little bit more bait elastic, and as I say, I'm not going to be flinging these out with any real, well, to any real distance or with much vigour, let's say. So I'm just going to lightly whip that hook length onto it. As I say, the squid and sand eel wrap, of course, is already prepped. It's already all bound together, so it doesn't need an awful lot, just enough to keep that hook point proud and sat on the bait there. So that will be plenty. There we go. There's a very nice proud hook, a nicely presented bait, and that can go out on the flapper. And that's all it took. That took me seconds. And that's even with obviously showing it for camera. Now, the next best step is obviously to have pre-baited rigs ready, but I can't even bother to get another one out of the box, to be honest. So, which is lazy, but it's more to clean up at the end of the day, isn't it? Oh guys, after about 2 hours of fishing, well, about an hour and a half actually, we've had our first sign of a bite on the worm rod, the left-hand rod. And I was going to bring it in shortly and check it as well, which is reassuring. What I'll probably do is leave it out there just for a little bit. That flood tide is just starting now, and I'm hoping that's going to bring the fish on the feed. But it could be a flatfish that's just settled it. Sometimes you'll get a little tap and then it might just sit on that bait and you don't know. But either way, I'll leave it there for a little bit and hopefully we'll reel something in. Now, it's always useful to come down to any mark really at low tide, just to suss it out and get a view for what the water's doing, but especially Southbourne, you've got that really distinguished kind of gully that sits right in front of you, which Southbourne is quite famous for. And when you come down at low tide, you can really see where it's formed and where it sits on the seabed. That gives you a really good indication of where to put your baits, whether you want to fish close in or try and get over the gully and fish deeper. Sometimes when the tide is high, of course the gully's still there, but it won't be as formed. In terms of the waves that you see going over the top of it, especially on a calm day, doesn't mean the gully's not there, of course. That's quite often where you'll pick up the fish, right in front of your feet. Right, let's check this one we had a rattle on, see if we've got a fish. If not, we'll get it rebaited. No, I don't think we've got anything. But still, it's a good sign. Oh, what a beautiful spring evening, eh? I'm not going to say it. Well, I am going to say it, but I hate saying it. It is one of them evenings where it is just nice to be out. It is a beautiful, beautiful evening. Really calm, lovely conditions, not too cold. Well, the temperatures are still dipping down below zero at night at the moment. Last night when I was out, it was starting to get cold. I packed up about 10 p.m. But by the time I got home and then by the time I was kind of like getting ready for bed, midnight, it had gone below zero. But the daytimes are quite nice at the moment. We're getting kind of spring-like daytimes where it's plus 10 degrees, or 10 degrees and above. And then at night time it goes freezing. I think as soon as those frosts pass and clear off, we'll be into some proper springtime fishing. And I have already heard of a few early smooth downs that have been caught over the last few weeks, which is always a good sign. And I also saw some herring shoals have started showing up at Chesil. And of course, a lot of the bait fish, you know, your herring, your mackerel, will often bring in a lot of other fish as well. Plaice is a bit of an interesting one because plaice is something you can obviously, well, I say obviously, everyone associates it with springtime, plaice are in. But you can really target plaice all year. This year, or this winter, I didn't have any real good luck on it, but last year, more so off the boat, in not too deep water, about 30 foot of water, just outside Christchurch in Christchurch Harbour. I had some decent plaice fishing over winter. I think obviously they just start showing in more numbers, closer inshore, and of course they're a lot bigger, fatter fish in spring and summer. You know, you catch them in December, January, they're often very, very skinny fish, but still good to catch, good to see. But yeah, my flatfish hunting this winter was abysmal. I didn't catch any. Well, as I'm sure as you can see, the sun is just setting now. The last dying embers of light cascading across the bay, slowly being extinguished. Well, that's poetic, wasn't it? Don't worry, I won't say that again. I was a bit naff. But yeah, it's nearly dark. It's nearly night time. Still nothing to report, unfortunately. But a fair few anglers now turned up to my left and right. So fingers crossed someone along the beach catches something. But yeah, that flood tide is in full flow now. The shoreline has moved up the beach a fair way now since I've been here. Let's enjoy that last bit of sunset, shall we? Well guys, target species achieved. I didn't even realise he was hooked on there, to be honest. I did mention earlier that you can, I've hooked myself, they can often bite if he sat on the end of your line and not even realising. There you go. That is my first plaice of 2025, my first flatfish of 2025. Very small one, but I'm absolutely buzzed to see him. Southbourne Plaice, there we go. Spring has definitely started, officially now, I can say it. Well, there we have him. He was quite deeply hooked, but I managed to go through the gills, turn the hook round and pull it out backwards, which if you don't know how to do, I highly, highly suggest. It's very simple to do, but you will return so many more fish doing that. You know, he is completely healthy. He's just been sat in that tub for a few minutes reviving, but he's ready to go back. He's no blood, completely alive. And yeah, a small guy, but I'm so happy to see him. There we go, Southbourne Plaice. We're finally on the fish, eh? Oh, that is just fantastic. Absolutely thrilled to see the first plaice of 2025. For me, of course. I know they've been caught already on the UK shoreline this year. Yeah, buzzing with that. Just another point on that deep hooked flatfish. I know I didn't show it there, but if you YouTube it, Google it, there's loads of really good videos that do show you how to do it. I did cover it off on my plaice fishing video off the boat last year, which was literally actually about 100, 200 meters off the shoreline here on the boat. We had about 40 plus plaice and a dab actually. In the space of a couple hours, it was unreal fishing off the boat. But I did cover how to do it in that video, if you're not sure. I appreciate loads of you watching want to know how to do that, but I think it's a really important skill to know, and obviously have the right tools in your toolbox, in your tackle box to be able to do it. Otherwise, you know, the last thing you want to do with flatfish, with any fish really, if you can avoid it, is trying to, one, kill them or hurt them in the process of taking the hook out, or, you know, cutting the line, leaving the hook in them and sending them off. I know it's a last resort, and sometimes it's the only thing that can be done, but if you can avoid it, it's definitely, definitely something to avoid. And flatfish, Plaice, they do love to deep hook themselves. They will suck that hook right down. So yeah, worth making sure you've got the right knowledge and tools available on the beach to return the fish healthy. But there we go. Let's see if we can get another one, eh? Now, if we manage to bag a ray tonight, that'll be an absolutely cracking session in my eyes, I think. Oh, don't you just love it when a plan comes together, eh? Oh. You head out to the beach, to the shoreline, with a target in mind, a species in mind, and you do it. There's something so satisfying about that. Even if it isn't any, you know, incredible sized fish, it's still super satisfying when a plan pays off. Now, keep an eye on these rods now. I'm rebaiting probably every 20-25 minutes. Keep fresh baits in that water, especially as these next few hours do feel like it's going to be our sweet spot, not just because we've had that place, but we're also now in the strongest section of the tide. If you look at the tidal curve, it will show you, of course, when the flood starts and it ends, but it will also show you when the strongest movement of tide actually occurs, which is pretty much now. So we're going to try and maximise on that. Or maximise our chances, I should say. Capitalise on it. That's what I meant to say. Well, still nothing doing on the ray front, and it would be lovely to pluck out a ray before the end of the night. I've still got a couple hours probably until I was planning to pack up, because we've still got a little bit more tide, that flood tide, to come through. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to switch out from my short range flapper rig for the rays to a distance rig. I've got a few more of those pre-made squid sand eel wraps that I did earlier. So I'm going to switch out to a pulley pennel and use a few of those as a single bait, of course, on a single hook rig, and send these out as far as I can and see if we can't find a ray out there, because we certainly haven't found one at short range. So we'll get this baited up and sent out. Those of you who saw my last video at Sandbanks yesterday would have seen the sensational moonrise. Oh, that guy needs to turn his light off. Please turn your light off. Oh, it's a shame. But yeah, that moon is unreal. Well, this is a first for me. Something I've never caught off Southbourne before. And I find I rarely catch these in our kind of patch of coastline that we've got. But we pulled out a little rockling off Southbourne Beach, which is lovely to see. Another species, and my first one for, well, technically, I have caught one, but it was in a net when we were down Muddyford. Me and Darren a few weeks back, or what was it, January? I can't remember when it was now. We put a drop net down to catch some crab, and I did pull a couple of rockling out then. But this is my first shore caught on a line, on a hook and line, for the year at least anyway, so yeah, awesome. Well, that's going to about do it for me tonight. It's been a thoroughly enjoyable session. I can officially say, for me, spring has started. The first place of 2025 has been landed for me. I should keep saying that. I'm fully aware lots of people are landing Plaice all throughout the year, but that's my first place. So for me, it signifies the start of the real good fishing season, spring, summer, and all the other species that are to follow. It's been fantastic to be back down Southbourne. I haven't fished down here for probably about 2 months ago is when I was last down, maybe. I can't even remember now. But yeah, it's been great to come down, have a couple of different species on the beach, and have a really nice session in the sunset. Hope you've enjoyed watching also. As always, I appreciate your support, any likes, comments, If you'd like to subscribe if you're not already and stick around for more content, that would be very much appreciated. But anyway, I'm going to start packing up, head home, grab some dinner, and we'll see you on the next one.